Think you know which housing markets are struggling? Think again. Right now, across America, homeowners in 10 major cities are waking up to a nightmare. Their biggest investment, the one they were told would always go up, is hemorrhaging value faster than anyone predicted. We're not talking about a gentle correction. We're talking about markets where prices are collapsing, inventory is exploding, and desperate sellers are slashing asking prices by six figures just to get out before the real crash begins. These aren't small towns nobody's heard of. These are major metropolitan areas where just 2 years ago, bidding wars were the norm and buyers were waiving inspections. Now, homes sit empty for months. Sellers are panic listing, and the smartest money is already gone. If you own property in one of these 10 cities, what I'm about to show you could save you from financial catastrophe. If you're thinking about buying in these markets, you need to understand what you're walking into, because the data doesn't lie, and what's happening right now is just the beginning. Today, we're counting down the 10 U.S. cities where you need to sell immediately, before the bottom falls out completely. These markets are facing a perfect storm of crashing prices, insurance nightmares, mass exodus, and economic fundamentals that spell disaster. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand exactly why timing your exit from these markets could mean the difference between preserving your wealth and watching it evaporate. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. This channel brings you the real estate data the mainstream media won't show you. The patterns emerging, the markets collapsing, the opportunities hiding in plain sight. We're here every week with research that could change your financial future. Let's dive in. Number 10. Austin, Texas. Austin was the golden child, the city everyone wanted to move to. Tech hub of the South, live music capital, no state income tax, endless sunshine and optimism. Not anymore. Home prices in Austin have dropped 12% year over year, with the median now sitting at $567,000, down from a peak of $645,000 in early 2023. Inventory has surged 156% compared to last year. Homes that used to receive offers within 72 hours are now sitting on the market for an average of 94 days. That's the longest in over a decade. But it's not just the price drops. Austin's entire economic foundation is cracking. The tech sector, the reason everyone flocked here, is contracting violently. Indeed's offices, downsized. Tesla's massive factory, hiring freeze. Oracle, Dell, AMD, all scaling back. The companies that drove the migration wave are now the companies driving people away. What's making it worse? Property taxes have exploded. Homeowners who bought at the peak are now paying $18,000, $22,000, even $28,000 annually in property taxes on homes worth less than they paid. The math doesn't work anymore. A couple earning $180,000, solid, income anywhere else, is now spending 42% of their take-home pay just on housing costs, before utilities, food, or anything else. And then there's the oversupply. Developers went absolutely insane during the boom years, throwing up luxury condos and single-family subdivisions across every available lot in Pflugerville, Round Rock, and Cedar Park. Now, those units sit empty. Investors who bought pre-construction are walking away from deposits rather than closing. Banks are nervous. Families who relocated from California, paying cash premiums to escape the Bay Area, are now trapped. They overpaid by $100,000 or more, and they know it. Retirees who cashed out of expensive markets thinking Austin was their forever home are realizing they can't afford the carrying costs. The city that promised endless growth now faces an endless inventory problem. This could face a 20% total collapse from peak to trough. Austin's correction isn't over. It's accelerating, and if you're holding property in Travis County right now, every month you wait is another month of value bleeding away. Number 9. Boise, Idaho. Boise became the poster child for pandemic migration madness. Californians and Washingtonians flooded in, driving prices to absurd levels in a city with a median household income of just $68,000. The collision between incoming wealth and local wages created a bubble so obvious you could see it from space. Median home prices peaked at $548,000 in mid-2022. Today, $462,000. That's a 16% crash, and it's picking up speed. Inventory has tripled year over year. Days on market have hit 87, compared to 11 days during the frenzy. Sellers are cutting prices, some by $50,000, some by $80,000, and still not getting offers. The reason? The migration wave stopped. When remote work got recalled and mortgage rates hit 7%, the hordes of buyers vanished. Boise is left with a housing stock priced for tech workers from Seattle. But the actual residents are teachers making $47,000 and healthcare workers making $55,000. The math never worked. It was always unsustainable. Even more concerning is what's happening in the suburbs. Meridian, Eagle, Nampa. These communities exploded with new construction. Builders went wild, convinced the boom was permanent. Now those communities have subdivisions where 1 in every 4 homes has a for sale sign. HOA fees are rising because they budgeted for full occupancy. Services are stretched. Local buyers, the ones who actually work in Boise, were completely priced out during the boom. Now they're waiting. They've watched the market fall for 18 months, and they're not stepping in yet because they know it's going lower. Why catch a falling knife when you can wait 3 more months and save another $30,000? Investors are fleeing. The short-term rental market that seemed so promising is now oversaturated. Airbnb operators who bought in 2021 are underwater on mortgages and can't fill their calendars. Some are converting back to long-term rentals and losing money monthly. Others are just listing and praying. Boise's story is simple. Artificial demand created artificial prices. Now reality is reasserting itself, and it only gets worse from here. Number 8. Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to Ground Zero for Climate Reality Meeting Housing Economics. Phoenix isn't just hot in the summer anymore. It's becoming unlivable, and the housing market is finally waking up to what that means. Prices have dropped 11% year over year, with median homes now at $428,000 compared to $481,000 at peak. But here's the real crisis. Inventory has exploded by 142%. There are currently over 26,000 active listings in the Phoenix metro. During the boom, that number was under $4,000. Homes are sitting for 73 days on average. Sellers are desperate. Why? Start with insurance. Homeowners insurance in Phoenix has increased 47% in just 2 years. Policies that cost $800 annually now run twice $650 or more. Some carriers have pulled out of Arizona entirely. If you can't get insurance, you can't get a mortgage. If you can't get a mortgage, your buyer pool evaporates. But it's not just insurance. Water is becoming a real issue. The Colorado River allocations keep shrinking. New developments in certain areas are being denied permits because there isn't guaranteed long-term water supply. Buyers are starting to ask questions sellers can't answer. Will my neighborhood have water in 10 years? The summer of 2024 broke records. Again, Phoenix saw 53 days over 115 degrees. Air conditioning costs for the average home hit $410 per month, just for July and August. That's $820 for 2 months of electricity. Families are doing the math and realizing the true cost of living in Phoenix is far higher than the mortgage payment suggests. And then, there's the migration reversal. For years, retirees and remote workers flooded Arizona, drawn by low costs and sunshine. That wave is retreating. People are moving back to the Midwest, to the Carolinas, to anywhere that doesn't require 24/7 air conditioning and offers affordable insurance. The real threat is what happens when this market enters a true panic phase. Right now, it's orderly. Prices are drifting down. Sellers are reducing asking prices. But when the sellers who need to exit, the investors, The overleveraged flippers, the people who bought with adjustable rate mortgages, when they all hit the market at once. Phoenix could see a 25% total correction. And with climate pressures only intensifying, this isn't a market that's going to bounce back quickly. If you own property in Maricopa County, the exit window is closing. Number 7. Las Vegas, Nevada. What happens in Vegas might stay in Vegas, but what's happening to Vegas home prices is spreading like wildfire downward. The median home price has plummeted 14% from its 2022 peak of $482,000 to just $415,000 today. Inventory has surged 167%. Days on market average 81, the highest since the Great Recession. Builders are offering incentives, $40,000 in closing costs, rate buydowns, free upgrades, anything to move units sitting in brand new subdivisions on the edge of the valley. The problem is simple. Vegas was built on cheap money and optimism. When rates were at 3%, everyone could afford to speculate on a second home or investment property in Henderson or Summerlin. At 7%, the party's over. Tourism, the economic engine of Las Vegas, is softening. Convention attendance is down. Hotel occupancy rates are dropping. The service workers who make up the bulk of the local workforce, dealers, servers, hospitality staff, are seeing hours cut and tips shrinking. These aren't people who can afford $2,800 mortgage payments. They're barely surviving. What's making it worse is the oversupply. Developers threw up massive master-planned communities across the valley during the boom. Now those communities have hundreds of completed homes with no buyers. Banks are getting nervous about construction loans. Some builders are offering to rent with an option to buy, a desperation move that signals how bad things really are. Las Vegas is also dealing with its own water crisis. Lake Mead levels continue to drop. Conservation mandates are tightening. The grasslawns that define suburban Vegas are being replaced with desert landscaping by law in many areas. It's a visible reminder that the lifestyle Vegas sold for decades isn't sustainable. Investors are walking away. Properties that were supposed to generate rental income are sitting vacant because there are too many rentals and not enough renters. The short-term rental market is saturated. You can't throw a rock in Vegas without hitting an Airbnb, and nightly rates have collapsed. Families who moved here for affordability are discovering the hidden costs. Extreme summer power bills, expensive car insurance because of accident rates, limited job opportunities outside the casino industry. They're reassessing. Vegas could drop another 15% before it finds a bottom. And in a market this dependent on discretionary spending and cheap credit, the recovery could take years. Sell now or watch the dice roll against you. If you're finding this eye-opening, hit subscribe. We're only halfway through, and the next 5 cities make Vegas look stable. Number 6. Cape Coral-Fort Myers, Florida. Hurricane Ian changed everything. This market was already softening, but when Ian made landfall in September 2022, it exposed just how vulnerable Southwest Florida really is, and the housing market has been in freefall ever since. Median home prices have crashed 17% year over year, now sitting at $387,000 compared to $467,000 at peak. Inventory has absolutely exploded, up 203% from last year. Homes are sitting for 96 days. Sellers are cutting prices by $60,000, $80,000, sometimes $100,000, and still not getting offers. This is a market in crisis. The insurance situation is catastrophic. Homeowners insurance, if you can even get it, now costs $6,000 to $9,000 annually for an average single-family home. Some policies are hitting $12,000. Citizens Property Insurance, Florida's insurer of last resort, is overloaded and raising rates 40% in some areas. For many buyers, insurance costs as much as the mortgage payment. That's not sustainable. But it's not just insurance costs, it's availability. Major carriers, State Farm, Farmers, Derperway, have stopped writing new policies in Florida entirely. If you're trying to sell a home and your buyer can't get insurance, The deal falls apart. This is happening every single day. The reason is obvious: climate risk. Cape Coral and Fort Myers sit at sea level in a hurricane zone. When Ian hit, entire neighborhoods were underwater. 6 feet of storm surge. Homes destroyed, infrastructure decimated. And everyone knows it's going to happen again. Not if, when. What's making it worse is the economic reality. Southwest Florida's economy runs on retirees and tourism. Retirees are rethinking their Florida dream when they see insurance costs and hurricane risk. Tourism is softening as travelers choose other destinations. The restaurants and shops that depend on snowbirds are struggling. Construction defects are also emerging. Homes built during the boom, rushed, often with questionable labor, are showing problems. Foundations cracking, roofs failing, Chinese drywall. These issues are coming to light during inspections, killing deals. And then, there's the broader migration pattern. People are leaving Florida. The tax benefits and warm weather don't offset the insurance nightmare. The heat, the hurricanes, the political uncertainty. The narrative that drove millions to Florida is breaking down. Investors who bought rental properties in Cape Coral, thinking they'd capitalize on the retiree influx, are now trapped with uninsurable homes losing value monthly. Some are trying to unload at any price. Others have just stopped making payments and are letting the banks foreclose. This market could face a 30% total collapse from peak to trough. We are not even at the bottom yet. Hurricane season runs June through November, every single year. One more major storm, and this market goes into complete meltdown. If you own property in Lee County, sell immediately. Before the next hurricane. Before insurance becomes completely unavailable. Before the collapse accelerates. This is the most urgent warning on this list. Number 5. Tampa's T, Petersburg, Florida. Tampa Bay thought it was different. More diversified economy, bigger city, better infrastructure. Wrong. Tampa is following the same trajectory as every other Florida market. Straight down. Prices have dropped 13% year over year, with medians now at $391,000 versus $449,000 at peak. Inventory has surged 178%. Days on market hit 88. New construction is sitting empty in developments across Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. Builders are bleeding cash. The insurance crisis is just as severe here. Homeowners insurance has doubled or tripled for many residents. A policy that cost $2,500 3 years ago now runs $6,000 or more. Flood insurance, mandatory in many areas, adds another $1,800 to $3,500 annually. The total insurance burden makes homes effectively unaffordable for middle-class buyers. Even more concerning, Tampa is experiencing a condo crisis. High-rise condos along the bay and the beaches are facing massive special assessments. Buildings need repairs. Structural issues, waterproofing, code compliance after the Surfside collapse in Miami. Assessments of $50,000, $80,000, even $120,000 per unit are being levied. Owners can't afford it. They're trying to sell, but who wants to buy into that liability? The Tampa economy, while more diverse than other Florida cities, is still heavily dependent on real estate, construction, and service industries. As the housing market contracts, jobs disappear. Mortgage brokers, real estate agents, title companies, inspectors, contractors, all seeing business collapse. This creates a negative feedback loop. Migration is reversing. For years, Tampa attracted young professionals and remote workers seeking lower costs than Miami and better culture than Jacksonville. That influx has stopped. Remote workers are being called back to offices. Young professionals are realizing Tampa's job market outside real estate is limited. They're leaving. The real threat is what happens to Tampa's identity. The city marketed itself as an affordable alternative to Miami with better quality of life. But affordability is gone, crushed by insurance and climate risk. Quality of life is deteriorating. Traffic is worse. Infrastructure is strained. Hurricanes are intensifying. Banks are pulling back on lending in certain flood zones. Appraisals are coming in below contract prices, killing deals. Sellers are realizing their equity is evaporating, and panic is setting in. Tampa could see prices drop another 20% before stabilization. And that assumes no major hurricane direct hit. One Cat 4 or Cat 5 through the bay, and this market collapses entirely. The window to exit is narrowing daily. Number 4. Northport, Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota was the dream retirement destination. White sand beaches, cultural amenities, upscale dining, pristine Gulf waters. Retirees cashed out of expensive markets nationwide and poured into Sarasota and Northport, driving prices to levels disconnected from any local economic reality. Now it's all unwinding. Median home prices have crashed 18% from peak, falling from $498,000 to $408,000. Inventory has exploded by 219%, more than tripled in just 12 months. Homes sit for 101 days on average. Sellers are slashing prices and still getting lowball offers or no offers at all. The insurance apocalypse is hitting Sarasota harder than almost anywhere. Premiums for single-family homes routinely exceed $8,000 annually. Waterfront properties, $15,000 to $20,000 if you can get coverage at all. Many luxury condos on the Keys are becoming uninsurable. Without insurance, they're unsellable. But it's not just insurance. It's the demographic shift. The retirees who drove Sarasota's boom are aging out or dying. The next generation doesn't have the same wealth or desire to move to Florida. They've watched the insurance crisis and climate disasters unfold. They're choosing the Carolinas, Tennessee, or staying put. What's making it worse is the high-end focus. Sarasota's market skews toward luxury properties, $600,000 to $2 million homes that require wealthy buyers. But wealthy buyers are the most mobile and most informed. They understand climate risk. They understand insurance costs. They're not buying. The condo market is in complete freefall. Buildings are facing reserve funding requirements after new Florida legislation posts Surfside. Special assessments are crushing fixed-income retirees. A couple living on Social Security and a pension can't come up with $75,000 for a structural assessment. They're forced to sell at massive losses. Northport, the more affordable northern neighbor, is dealing with different but equally severe problems. It grew too fast. Infrastructure can't keep up. Traffic is a nightmare. The charm that attracted people is gone, replaced by endless subdivisions and strip malls. And prices still haven't fallen enough to make it affordable for actual working families. Investors who bought vacation rentals are discovering the market is saturated. Nightly rates have collapsed. Occupancy is down. Many are losing money monthly and can't exit because they're underwater on mortgages. The broader economic engine, tourism, hospitality, healthcare for retirees, is contracting as the retiree influx slows. Jobs are disappearing. The young workers who staff restaurants and hotels can't afford to live here and are moving away. This creates a spiral. Sarasota could drop another 25% from current levels. The market that was built entirely on retiree demand is facing a future where that demand has evaporated. Sell now before the complete collapse. Live in one of these markets? Tell us what you're seeing in your neighborhood. The comments from locals are eye-opening. Number 3. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Miami, the international glamour capital. The city that never stops. Except, now it's stopping hard. Luxury condos that sold for $100 to $200 per square foot in 2022 are now listed at $850 and sitting for months. The median home price has dropped 15% year over year to $524,000. Inventory across Miami-Dade and Broward counties has surged 191%. Days on market average 94. This is the market that was supposed to be different. International buyers, crypto wealth, South American money. None of it is showing up anymore. The insurance crisis in Miami is beyond catastrophic. It's existential. Homeowners insurance for a standard single-family home runs $8,000 to $12,000 annually. Flood insurance adds another $3,000 to $5,000. For condos and high-rises, insurance and HOA fees combined can exceed $3,000 per month. Before the mortgage, before utilities. The numbers don't work for anyone except the ultra-wealthy. But it's not just insurance costs. Major insurers are completely gone from South Florida. The companies still writing policies are smaller, less capitalized, and charging astronomical premiums with massive deductibles, often 5% of the home's value. A $500,000 home has a $25,000 deductible. One hurricane, and you're wiped out. Even more concerning is sea level rise. Miami Beach is literally flooding during high tides. King tides now inundate streets regularly. The city is spending billions on pumps and infrastructure, but everyone knows it's a delaying tactic. The ocean is coming. Waterfront properties that were once the pinnacle of luxury are now seen as liabilities. The condo crisis is devastating Miami's housing market. Millennium Tower, Champlain Towers North, sister building to Surfside. Dozens of other high-rises are facing special assessments in the hundreds of thousands per unit. Owners who thought they owned a valuable asset are discovering they own an obligation they can't escape. Many are trying to sell, flooding the market with inventory. What's making it worse is the crypto collapse and international buyer retreat. When Bitcoin was $60,000 and FTX was flying high, crypto bros were buying penthouses sight unseen. That's over. International buyers from Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, who used Miami real estate to park wealth, are now facing their own economic crises. The money isn't flowing in anymore. The local economy, dependent on real estate, finance, hospitality, and international trade, is softening. Commercial real estate is imploding as remote work empties office towers. Retail is struggling. The service workers who make the city function can't afford to live anywhere near their jobs. Traffic has become unbearable. Infrastructure is crumbling. The quality of life that justified the premium prices is eroding. People are asking why they're paying New York prices to live in a city with third-world infrastructure and increasing climate risk. Banks are reducing lending in coastal zones. Appraisers are factoring in climate risk, bringing valuations down. Developers who built luxury projects during the boom are now trying to offload units at any price. Some buildings are offering 2 years of HOA fees paid, or $100,000 in upgrades, or rate buy-downs. Desperate measures. Miami could face a 30% to 35% total correction. This is the city that believed it was immune, that international demand would always prop up prices. That belief is collapsing in real time. If you're holding property in Miami-Dade or Broward, the smart money is already gone. Don't be the last one out. Number 2. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is a different kind of disaster. No hurricanes, no insurance crisis, just economic decay and an exodus of anyone with the means to leave. Home prices have dropped 16% year over year, with medians at $198,000 compared to $236,000 at peak. That sounds affordable until you understand what you're buying into. Inventory has surged 134%. Homes sit for 88 days. Entire neighborhoods are hollowing out. The crime rate is staggering. Memphis consistently ranks in the top 5 most dangerous cities in America. Carjackings, violent crime, property crime, it's relentless. Families who can afford to leave are leaving. Young professionals avoid the city entirely. This creates a death spiral where the tax base erodes, services decline, and crime worsens. The job market is contracting. FedEx, Memphis's largest employer and economic anchor, has been laying off workers and consolidating operations. The company that made Memphis a logistics hub is shrinking its footprint. Other major employers are following suit. The jobs that attracted workers to Memphis are disappearing. What's making it worse is the school system. Memphis City Schools merged with Shelby County, creating chaos and declining quality. Parents with resources are fleeing to private schools or suburbs outside the county. This accelerates the middle-class exodus. The housing stock itself is deteriorating. Many homes in Memphis are older, poorly maintained, and facing foundation issues, plumbing failures, and electrical problems. Buyers are doing inspections and walking away when they see the repair costs. Sellers are stuck with homes they can't offload. Even more concerning is the investor behavior. Memphis was a darling for out-of-state investors seeking cheap rental properties. They bought thousands of homes sight unseen, expecting cash flow. Instead, they got problem properties, bad tenants, and negative cash flow. Now, they're trying to dump those properties, flooding the market with distressed inventory. Banks are redlining certain neighborhoods, refusing to lend even when buyers qualify. Appraisals are coming in below purchase prices because comparable sales keep dropping. The financing for deals is evaporating. The broader economic picture is grim. Poverty rates are among the highest in the nation. Median household income is just $42,000. The wealth needed to support a healthy housing market simply isn't there. Memphis is a market built on speculation and cheap money, and both are gone. The real threat is complete abandonment of certain neighborhoods. When crime is high, jobs are scarce, and property values are falling, people just leave. Homes sit vacant, squatters move in. The cycle accelerates. Memphis could see another 20% decline, bringing median prices below $160,000. But at that point, does it even matter? You're not preserving wealth. You're just minimizing losses. If you own property in Memphis, sell to anyone who will buy it. Get out before the value hits zero in certain zip codes. Number 1. New Orleans, Louisiana. Here we are, number 1. The city facing the perfect storm of every single crisis hitting the American housing market simultaneously: climate disaster, insurance apocalypse, economic collapse, infrastructure failure, population exodus. New Orleans is ground zero for the housing market meltdown. Home prices have crashed 19% from peak, with medians falling from $289,000 to $234,000. But that tells you nothing. Inventory has exploded by 247%, nearly tripled in 12 months. Homes sit for 113 days on average. Sellers are offering massive price cuts and getting no buyers. This is a market in complete freefall. Start with insurance, the crisis that makes all others worse. Homeowners insurance in New Orleans, if you can get it at all, runs $7,000 to $11,000 annually for a basic house. Flood insurance, which is mandatory for most properties, costs another $4,000 to $8,000 per year. You're looking at $15,000 in annual insurance costs before you even make a mortgage payment. For a city with a median household income of $49,000, this math is impossible. But it's worse than high costs. It's availability. Louisiana citizens. The state's insurer of last resort is the only option for most homeowners. And Louisiana citizens is financially unstable, undercapitalized, and one major hurricane away from insolvency. If you can't get insurance, you can't get a mortgage. If you can't get a mortgage, your home is worthless. The climate threat is existential. New Orleans is sinking, literally subsiding at rates of up to 2 inches per year in some areas. Sea levels are rising, hurricane intensity is increasing. The levee system is better than it was during Katrina, but everyone knows it's not enough. One Cat 5 direct hit, and entire neighborhoods are gone. Buyers understand this. They're not coming. Hurricane Ida in 2021 was a warning shot. Entire communities were destroyed. Power was out for weeks. Insurance claims are still being disputed. People who rebuilt are now trying to sell because they can't handle living through another storm. But there are no buyers. What's making it worse is the infrastructure collapse. The roads are crater-filled disaster zones. The power grid fails regularly. Water and sewage systems are ancient and failing. The city doesn't have the tax revenue to fix these problems because the tax base is shrinking. It's a death spiral. The economy is hollowing out. Tourism, the main driver, is softening as travelers choose other destinations. The oil and gas industry, another major employer, is contracting. Port activity is down. The jobs that sustained New Orleans are disappearing, and nothing is replacing them. Crime is out of control. Carjackings in broad daylight, armed robberies, shootings. The police department is understaffed and overwhelmed. People don't feel safe in their own homes. Families with children are fleeing to Baton Rouge, Houston, anywhere safer. The school system is among the worst in the nation. Healthcare access is limited. The cultural amenities that made New Orleans special, the music, the food, the festivals, can't compensate for the daily reality of living in a failing city. Even more concerning is the demographic collapse. Young people are leaving. Educated workers are leaving. The talent that could revitalize the city is choosing Austin, Nashville, Charlotte, anywhere with opportunity and stability. What's left is an aging, poor population that can't support a housing market. Entire neighborhoods are being abandoned. The lower Ninth Ward, still not fully recovered from Katrina, has blocks with more vacant lots than occupied homes. Other areas are following the same trajectory. When houses are worth less than the cost to demolish them, the city just accumulates blight. Banks are retreating. Mortgage lending in Orleans Parish is down 60% from pre-pandemic levels. Lenders understand the risks and don't want the exposure. Even qualified buyers are being denied because banks won't finance properties in certain flood zones or neighborhoods. Investors who bought rental properties during the pandemic thinking they could capitalize on housing shortages are discovering the rental market is soft. There aren't enough renters with the income to support market rents. Properties sit vacant. Owners are hemorrhaging cash and trying desperately to sell. The real estate industry itself is collapsing. Agents are leaving the profession. Title companies are closing. The infrastructure of home buying and selling is evaporating because there's no business. And here's the final, crushing reality. There's no rescue coming. No federal program is going to save New Orleans. No private investment is going to revitalize these neighborhoods. The city is on a trajectory toward managed decline, and smart money understands this. New Orleans could see a total 40% to 50% collapse from peak values. Properties in some neighborhoods will become essentially worthless. No insurance, no buyers, no hope. We're watching a major American city's housing market die in real time. If you own property in Orleans Parish, sell immediately. Take whatever you can get. Walk away if you have to. Every day you hold is another day of value evaporating. This is the most urgent situation in American real estate. The collapse is here. It's happening now. And it only gets worse from here. 10 cities, 10 disasters, 10 warnings. What you've just witnessed isn't random. These markets share common threads: climate vulnerability, insurance crises, unsustainable price appreciation built on speculation rather than fundamentals, and economies that can't support the housing costs. This is what happens when housing markets detach from economic reality. But this isn't just about real estate. This is about the reshaping of America. These 10 cities, and dozens more following similar patterns, represent a broader reckoning. We built housing markets on cheap money, climate denial, and the assumption that prices only go up. All three of those foundations are crumbling. The implications stretch far beyond individual homeowners. Banks holding mortgages in these markets are sitting on massive unrealized losses. Insurance companies are pulling back from entire states. Construction industries in these cities are contracting, eliminating jobs. Tax revenues are falling, forcing cities to cut services, which accelerates decline. For sellers in these markets, the message is clear: exit now. Every month you wait, prices drop further. Every hurricane season brings new risk. Every insurance renewal brings higher costs or cancellation. The window to preserve wealth is closing rapidly. For buyers, the message is equally clear: stay away. The falling prices might look tempting, But you're not buying at a discount. You're catching a falling knife. These markets have years of decline ahead before they stabilize, and some may never recover to previous peaks. For the rest of us watching, this is a preview. Climate change isn't slowing down. Insurance companies aren't becoming more generous. Interest rates aren't going back to 3%. What's happening in these 10 cities is coming to more markets. The only question is timing. The American housing market is undergoing its most significant transformation since the Great Recession. But this time, it's not just a financial crisis that will resolve with stimulus and time. This is structural, permanent. Cities that millions chose as home are becoming unaffordable, uninsurable, or uninhabitable. We're watching the early stages of climate migration and economic reorganization. The data doesn't lie. The trends are clear. The smart money is moving. The question is, will you move with it, or will you be left holding an asset that's become a liability? If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening in American real estate, subscribe to this channel. Every week we bring you the data and analysis the mainstream media won't touch. We show you the markets collapsing, the opportunities emerging, and the trends that will define the next decade of real estate. We're not here to sell you houses or financial products. We're here to give you the truth. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this with anyone you know in these markets. This information could save someone's financial future. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. Stay ahead of the curve. See you in the next one.